Good morning, California. Let me try that again. Good morning, California. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you all here today. My name is David Deleuze, and I'm the Deputy Director for Civil Rights here at Caltrans. And it is my honor and duty to welcome you to the 4th Annual Disadvantaged Business Enterprise and Small Business Summit hosted by CalSTA and Caltrans. We have a great agenda for you today, and I just want you all to take this as an opportunity to network, to get your questions answered, and to make a few friends and make a few business connections. This is how business works. We come together, we meet, we identify areas where we can assist each other, and then we move forward. And that's what we're here to do today. We're here to move forward to build California together. I have a few housekeeping notes. The restrooms are located my right, your left, right around the corner, right here where the entrance is. You just go down the hallway, and there are restrooms that are available for you. Emergency exits are right behind you. And we will be serving coffee and water and juice and also some snacks throughout the morning. And we will also be providing a bag lunch for all of our attendees free of charge. Another note, as you walked in, you saw all of the folks that are tabling here. We have state agencies, we have local agencies, local public agencies, and we also have prime contractors that are here because they want to meet people. They want to meet folks that can help them either get a contract or help them execute a contract. So we want you to take advantage of that opportunity to network with everyone out there at those tables outside. And we also have opportunities for you to connect back with us here at Caltrans. Throughout the venue here, we're going to be displaying some QR codes. And those QR codes, if you take your smartphone out, and you use your camera and you take a picture of it, it'll push up a link, and that will link you either to key or critical contact information or surveys that will allow you to provide us feedback so that we can serve you better in the future. So with that, I want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here today and to join us at the 4th Annual Caltrans DBE Summit. And to go ahead and kick things off, we have our California Secretary of Transportation, Dr. Tokes Omashakin, will deliver our first welcoming remarks. Dr. Omashakin.
A very good morning, everybody. Wow, look at that response. My goodness. A very good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's a beautiful day in Sacramento here in the Capitol. So I'm sure all of you are excited to be a part of this 4th Annual Summit. I know I am, because this is a big priority for myself. I know it is for the Caltrans team, the director. It is for the governor, and it is for many of the departments and agencies across the state. So thank you for taking the time. Appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to be a part of this 4th Annual Summit. My job is to be very brief this morning to inspire you a little bit with some examples of what success looks like when you work in this space. But before I do that, before I share some of the examples of some exciting success stories, just want to get a sense of who's in the room. First of all, I want to thank the team from the Civil Rights Office at Caltrans for all the work that they do. If you're the Civil Rights Office in the room, beyond the Deputy Director, David DeLuce, who, if you don't mind raising your hand, Civil Rights Office in the room, please give him a hand. These guys work very hard behind the scenes every year to put this on, and not just about the event, but meetings and things in between to help to continue to foster this relationship with many of you in the room. But also, I want to understand beyond our state team, the Caltrans team who's here, I want to understand the businesses in the room. If you've owned a small business or a DBE for 5 years or less, do you mind waving? Oh, wow, look at that. Look at that. That's a lot. Please give him a hand. Let's go to the 10-year mark. Anybody? 10 years. 10 years. Wow, he's still got a lot in here as well. That's pretty cool. I'm going to double it one time real quick. 20 years. Anybody own? Oh, wow, we got a few in here. 20. As you know, the story goes that, if you pass a certain mark as it relates to this, your likelihood of seeing success, if you pass that 5-year mark, your likelihood of seeing success moving forward gets higher and higher. So many kudos and credits to you for persevering and making it through to the point that many of you have today. So in the information that I want to share with you, if you could put my slides up here, I want to start off with this man. And some of you in the room may actually know him. His name is Dan Yao, who was born in 1959 in Hong Kong and immigrated to the United States at the age of 21 and eventually started a small business. His business, by the way, he got a transportation engineering master's degree from UC Berkeley. But he started a business, and that business has 15 employees. And so far, his company has received 50 awards from national organizations like the American Council of Engineering Companies. In the beginning, he said his biggest challenge was finding ways to team up with prime consultants. But once he became certified, his business with Caltrans as an Asian Pacific DBE started to boom. It started to pick up after he became certified with Caltrans. He's done a lot of work for Caltrans, including projects on US 50. If you're in Folsom or anywhere in that direction of Sacramento, you know what I'm talking about. The US 50 Watt Avenue project, that interchange in Sacramento County. He's worked on the 680 Express Lane project in Alameda and Santa Clara counties as well. So Dan Yao, an immigrant from Hong Kong, came here at the age of 21, got engineering degrees, became certified, got his business certified, 15 employees, seen a lot of success with his company. Just one example. Another example, just to briefly share with you, Jacqueline Pruitt. Some of you may have seen me share her story with you before. Jacqueline Pruitt, just 20 years ago, was an addict, a drug addict, and in jail. In 2009, she enrolled in the Century Freeway pre-apprenticeship program here in LA, and she also learned a lot, as much as she could. When she joined this program, she learned as much as she could about rebar. In 2013, that was in 2009. In 2013, she became a certified journeyman iron worker. In 2016, she passed the state contractor's licensing board test, and she established a company called Marvella Steel Placers. Marvella Steel Placers, named after her mom, who had just passed away 7 months prior. Today, Jacqueline is an award-winning philanthropic small business owner of Marvella Steel Placers, where she installs rebar across freeways all across the state of California. She also does projects with LA Metro. She's done projects on she's helped with the Purple Line, the Regional Transit Connector, and even the Los Angeles Football Club. These are examples of people who had really challenging starts, but seeing success through the program that Caltrans leads. She is helping to build the transportation system of tomorrow as she grows her business. And last example, just to briefly share with you, is Hugh Mackey McCullough. Mr. McCullough is a member of the Hooper tribe. He started his company with a backhoe, a dump truck, and the power of a handshake when agreeing to contracts. In nearly 40 years, the family business has evolved into a heavy civil corporation with 45 employees focused on building rehab waterways, roads, bridges, and trails. He's now the president of DBE McCullough Construction, based out of Arcata. And Arcata is just 1 hour west of the Hooper Reservation in Northern California. As an established DBE, McCullough advises new small business, disadvantaged business owners to go into a trade they personally are really good at. When he started his business, he learned as he went and worked his way through different positions necessary to run a small business, including estimating. McCullough said it takes time to build a business, and being a good and honest, reliable person, building that type of reputation is important. He listens to his clients to understand their goals and deliver what they want on time and within budget. So, a Hooper Tribe member, started small business 1987, nearly 40 years later, 45 employees, an award-winning company. This can be done. If you're in the room, if you're not certified with the state yet, with Caltrans, think about doing that. If you know people who are interested in doing that, there are people, staff all here. The director, you're going to hear from him next, Tony Tavares. There are people that can help you through this process to become certified with us to do work. It can happen. These are just a few of dozens of examples, and you in this room are examples yourself of how you can achieve success in doing business with the state. A few more important things just to share with you, and I'll hand things back over to our Deputy Director, DeLuz. If you're not familiar with transportation in California and our focus, our goals, our values, our priorities, it can be boiled down to these 4 things. These 4 things are what we strive to accomplish and focus on every day. These are our core, what we call our core 4 priorities: safety, equity, climate action, and economic prosperity. What's the tie-in to you as you sit here and think about small business and DBE opportunities? This is where we're headed. This is where we focus every day. And for example, you take an issue like equity, it very much ties into what you do and why you're here. We want to provide opportunities for small businesses to have success in the state. And it's that equitable approach, not just thinking about the big contractors, the big primes who do all the work, but an equity lens. That's what helps us get there. You think about something like economic prosperity. Economic prosperity. You are the engine that runs our economy. We brag all the time about how amazing California's economy is. It's a nearly $4 trillion economy. Without you, that economy doesn't continue to shine. It's because of you and the small businesses that you have that we are as glorious as we are in this country and across the world. So these are our 4 priorities. Remember this and challenge us on this if you're seeing that we're not as focused on this as we should be. two more things here, and then I'll run. This is a very complicated slide to explain, but I'll boil it down just to a few key points to make. If you look at the very far right of the bar that you see on the screen, those are, if you add up all the DBE demographics, if you will, all the key sort of disparity focus areas, that very last bar is what we want to achieve. The yellow bar on each one of those, the yellow bar represents the weighted average, the weighted goal that we want to get to for these different demographics. And it's probably pretty hard for you to see from where you're sitting, but for example, I'll just use this one example. On the far left is the African American weighted average goal. The yellow bar on the very far left, that's where we're trying to get to. The three bars right before it are the 3 years prior and what we were able to get to. So the point of this slide is to show that there's a lot of room, there's a lot of opportunity still, because we're not always hitting that yellow bar. The yellow bar is the very last goal that we're trying to get to in the weighted average for each one of these groups. We're not getting there. So there's a lot of room, if you're an African American, Hispanic, Asian-owned firm, to continue to try to get towards that yellow bar at the end. I can explain this probably a little bit more later. And I'll close just with this. Sometimes as you work through this process with us, it may feel like you're bumping your head against a wall, or you're running into hurdles, if you will. We know it's not easy to do business with the state. It's not, or local government, or the federal government. I see one of my friends here from the federal government who's here to help us all, and you're probably going to hear from him later, Vince Mamano. I'm not sure if Vince is going to be saying anything today, but sometimes as you go through this process, it feels like there are too many hurdles along the way. I just want to implore you this morning to stick with it. To stick with it. Persevere through the process with us. And think about this quote from a guy named H. Brown, who's a late inspirational author now. He said, in the confrontation between the stream and the rock, the stream always wins, not through strength, but by perseverance. Not through strength, but by perseverance. It's not just about how mighty you are in this effort, how strong you are, but being perseverant through it all. Saying that, no, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to keep calling Caltrans. I'm going to keep calling DGS to make sure that I understand this, I get certified and qualified and competitive to do work with the state. So stick with it, persevere. Again, good morning, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to be here. I look forward to engaging you a little bit further in a panel that's going to come up a little bit later. So thank you very much. David DeLuce.
All right, we can all go home. The secretary laid out, I think, a real basic premise here is that if this work were easy, anybody would be doing it. It takes courage and it takes perseverance to do the work that we do. And there are opportunities that we're working with each and every one of you. We're doing everything we can to present those opportunities and to make them accessible for everyone who's ready, willing, and available to take advantage of them. Next, I want to introduce and bring up my boss, Director Tony Tavares. Director Tavares.
Well, good morning, everyone. Oh, I think we fell asleep. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, there we go. It is such a pleasure and an honor to be here with everyone today and seeing such a great turnout. I heard we had over 600 who reserved and to be here at this summit today. I think that's the highest number we've had in the last 4 summits. It's exciting to see it growing each year, and just excited to have all of you here to participate and to be able to interact with each of you on a one-on-one basis. I do have to thank David DeLuce, our Deputy Director for the Office of Civil Rights, and his entire team for coordinating this event. Could we give them a round of applause again? I also want to thank, you'll be hearing from our District 3 Director, Sergio Aceves. Thank you, Sergio, and your entire team for co-hosting with us here in Roseville. Give him a round of applause, please. And definitely a deep appreciation for Secretary Omashakin for his leadership, bringing us together, his commitment to small business, to disadvantaged business enterprises, and for establishing those core 4 priorities that you saw there, which is focusing not only Caltrans, but the entire CalSTA family of departments, focused, moving in the same direction. Thank you, Secretary Omashakin. So I'm proud to say that Caltrans has been leading in this effort of lifting up small businesses and disadvantaged business enterprises and disabled veteran business enterprises. We have been extremely successful in meeting goals that have been set by Governor Newsom and the legislature going forward. And currently, what we have in construction right now, we have over 900 ongoing construction projects valued at more than $14 billion, billion dollars right now. And this is providing opportunities not only to large prime contractors, but if you notice, more than 50% of our contracts are $5 million or less. So many, many opportunities for small businesses to get involved and to be the prime on these contracts as well going forward. Where we're at today, so we are focused on building California. In 2017, then Governor Brown and the legislature and the people of California voted in Senate Bill 1, the Road Repair and Accountability Act, which increased the amount of funding that goes to construction projects across the state. That was our first step. And then when the Biden and Harris administration came into power, we had the Infrastructure and Investment and Jobs Act, or the bipartisan infrastructure law, depending on what you want to call it, that brought billions and billions more to California. So we are delivering projects not just on the highway system, but projects across all modes of transportation. We are focused on people who walk, on people who bike, on people who use transit, on people who take commuter rail. And we are focused on moving freight from our largest ports in California throughout our state and across the entire country. You heard the Secretary mention the size of our economy. We are the 5th largest in the world, and sometimes we hover between 5th and 4th. We go back and forth. And so it is part of transportation's duty and commitment to continue to ensure that our economy thrives. And how do we do that? We do that by ensuring that small businesses in California have the opportunity to participate in our contracts. Because when you thrive, California thrives. Small businesses across the state employ more than 7 million people in California. Our population is close to 40 million, so 7 million is approaching 25% of our population is employed by a small business, by you. Because of that, you are the backbone and the foundation of our economy. Without you, our economy will not thrive. And so today, you are here. We are going to be providing opportunities and pathways and workshops and education on how you become certified in California to do business, not just with Caltrans, because once you become certified, you can work across any state department and any local agency in the state. You're certified. And so we're going to help you to navigate that process. We're going to help you to understand how to contract and how to submit bids to a government agency. And there are programs also that you will learn about after this presentation, such as the Caltrans Construction Mentor Protege Program, which is connecting small businesses to large prime contractors. And these prime contractors are acting as mentors and coaches to small businesses in helping them navigate the contracting process within Caltrans. So I want to recognize Bonnie Nyaga here. Would you please give him a round of applause? And I saw Abigail Brown, who will also, there she is, give her a round of applause. They will have a presentation explaining more on the Mentor Protege program, and I hope you pay attention, take some notes on that, because a very valuable program that we just launched statewide just last year, and Bonnie has been leading that effort. Truly appreciative to him. Thank you, Bonnie. So our shared mission going forward, we are a people-first organization. We're focused on you, the people who have impacts from our construction, our contracts, the people who we serve every day in California, our communities. Our mission is to improve the lives of people and communities through transportation. Improve the lives of people and communities through transportation. And so we are trying to connect you to every opportunity possible so that you can take advantage of these opportunities and have that prosperity in your life, in your community going forward. I will say, though, there are no handouts. There are no set-asides. We can't do that in government. Everything has to be competitively bid. But we will help you along that way. We will teach you how to submit a bid. We will teach you the process on how to connect with other contractors to possibly do a joint venture to submit a single bid forward. But again, it's going to take, as the Secretary mentioned, perseverance. It's going to take what Deputy Director DeLuce said, courage. It's going to take commitment and hard work. How many here are immigrants or first generation born in this country? A few of you. I think you understand the meaning of hard work, determination, perseverance, and courage. I know I do. I grew up on humble beginnings. I never thought in my wildest dreams I would be in this role that I am today. But through people who believed in me and mentored and coached me, I moved up through the organization. And it's not until Secretary Omashakin had faith in me and support for me that Governor Newsom appointed me to this role. And I'm very thankful, and I couldn't be here without Secretary Omashakin's support. Thank you, sir. You heard we're leading the way in small businesses. 36% of our contracts go to small businesses. That's construction contracts, those are commodity contracts, whether you're selling paper, pencils, paper clips, whatever it might be, all of our contracts, 36% of them go to small businesses. That's exciting to see that, but we are still falling short in a few areas, and the Secretary pointed those out. When it comes to African American small businesses, when it comes to Hispanic and Latino small businesses, we are still falling short. When you look at the population of California, African Americans and Hispanics make up almost 50% of our population in California. Yet, they own less than 10% of the small businesses in California. And so it is our goal to continue to reach out and ensure that everyone, no matter where you start from, no matter where you're at, what level you're at, is to lift everybody up and provide those pathways to prosperity and opportunity. So we have work to do ahead of us. When it comes to equity, we have a lot of work still to do ahead of us. And we're partnering with a lot of great people that are here in this room. And I need to take a moment. The California Black Chamber President, Mr. Jay King. Where's Mr. Jay King? I saw him earlier. There he is. I want to thank you for the work you are doing, sir, and thank you for the partnership we have together at Caltrans. Finally, the work we do crosses so many different areas and boundaries. We are doing work in broadband, delivering the middle mile network to underserved and unserved communities throughout California. Governor Newsom's initiative, Clean California, $1.2 billion program. We have been delivering. It's more than just picking up litter, but beautifying communities, reconnecting communities that have lost open spaces, have lost opportunities of coming together, and now we are creating spaces for families and children to be able to play and enjoy once again. Also, we're responding to horrific events such as the Los Angeles fires, where we're helping first responders and other state agencies coming together in a unified command to ensure that we help Southern California rebuild as quickly as possible, and that we help these people in these communities get back on their feet. So I am thrilled and excited that we can be a part of all this work. And with that work on the Los Angeles fires, I am proud also to say that we have let 4 director's orders, emergency contracts out recently, and all 4 we selected small businesses to be the lead, the prime on those contracts. So congratulations to the small businesses. So with that, just want to take another moment just to say thank you to each and every one of you for being here today. We look forward to working with you. We want to work with you. It's our commitment. It's my commitment. You heard from our Cabinet Secretary of Transportation, Dr. Tokso Mashakin. It's his commitment. It's Governor Newsom's commitment to ensure that small businesses thrive in California and that small businesses continue to lead the way for our economy. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. I look forward to meeting many of you during the breaks. Thank you.
Director Tony Tavares, everyone. Another round of applause. Finally, I want to introduce our host for this morning's event, today's event, Mr. Sergio Aceves, who is the District 3 Director for Caltrans. Sergio.
Well, good morning, everybody. Very good. I will just start off by saying that it's very difficult to be following the secretary and the director. So I have that unfortunate situation to be in. But again, I'm really glad to be here. I'm glad to see all of you here today. I do want to start off by, again, reiterating what's been stated already and thank David DeLuz and the Office of Civil Rights for hosting this 4th annual DBE Summit. I'll be a little selfish and just bore you a little bit with my personal details. I've been with the department 26 years, and very similar to what Director Tavares mentioned, I've been very fortunate to be supported by people, both in this case, Secretary Mashakin, when I became Division Chief of Maintenance. I will never forget that. Thank you, sir, for having confidence in me. As well as Director Tavares and both Deputy Director of Maintenance and Operations acting, and now North Region / District 3 Director having confidence in me and appointing me. Thank you, sir. In these 26 years, I can tell you I started in construction as a resident engineer for 8 years, then I was project manager. And I can tell you that it is very important to note the intrinsic relationship we have with the contracting community, all of you here. And this event is so important to make sure that we have a robust contracting community that is growing, that is really helping small business, disabled veteran business enterprises, and disadvantaged businesses move forward. Without that collaboration among all of us, there's no way we can meet our goals and objectives, whether you're talking the four core or everything else that we stand for. So I really want to just take this moment to thank all of you guys for helping us get to where we need to get to. And just as our departments and many others have partnered together for the outreach that's taking place here today, we hope that all of you will be able to create meaningful connections and bonds in this year's summit with our exhibitors that will lead to enduring partnerships between your businesses and the participating state businesses. There's a lot of other state businesses that are here today, not just Caltrans. At today's summit, there will be prime opportunity for our small business community to meet with our patrons and share their business information with Caltrans and, again, these other businesses. So, again, I want to encourage you to meet our prime contractors as well, because we meet a lot of the requirements to provide that contracting opportunity for smaller businesses through major contracts in our prime contractors. And by working with them, you're also working with us, and it helps you grow. And we certainly hope that you take advantage of all of these opportunities, again, working directly with the state by getting certified, but also working with our major contractors in our broader contracting community. As North Region Director for the Capital Outlay Support, really we work together across the North Region Districts 1, 2, and 3, which is basically from Sacramento County to the north. It's a huge area, and I'm very proud of the work that we do. So I want to share with all of you some statistics about the North Region and our contracting achievements, I would say. For federal fiscal year 23-24, last federal fiscal year, North Region collectively awarded 30 federally funded major construction projects totaling $825.5 million, with a DBE commitment at award of $172.9 million, or 21%. Year to date, for federal fiscal year 24-25, through January of this year, North Region has collectively awarded 19 federally funded construction projects totaling $273 million, with a DBE commitment at award of $60.6 million, or 22.2%. So again, there's a lot of work taking place in the North Region. I encourage all of you to take advantage of that. For on the state side, for the state federal fiscal year ending June of 24, District 3 awarded $273 million in state-funded contracts for a small business participation of 29% and a total disabled veteran business enterprise participation of 3%. And last but not least, for the first quarter of the current fiscal year on the state side, 24-25, District 3 awarded $53 million in state-funded contracts and procurement for a small business participation of 20.7% and a disabled veteran business enterprise participation of 1%. We need to do a little bit better there, but we're making inroads. Again, this year we hope that with your participation, we can increase connections and in small businesses, disabled veterans business enterprises, and disadvantaged business enterprises. We're already to a great start here in 2024. And also, I do want to mention that as the 2024 North Region Procurement Fair ends this month, it started back in November, we are offering attendees a 90-day post-fair priority purchasing preference. Therefore, we expect this participation to grow through this priority preference in purchasing. Again, I want to encourage all of you to take advantage of this summit to cultivate a growth mindset and have an expansive outlook in working with our exhibitors today. Look for opportunities that create the chances to follow up with folks after the event. And this is where the real opportunity begins, is those personal connections where people know who you are, they recognize you, and when you follow up, they will be more eager to further discuss opportunities to partner with your business. Again, I want to thank Office of Civil Rights and the North Region District 3 business team, as well as all of our exhibitors that are here today, for helping us put this great event together. Let's give them one more round of applause. And thank all of you, our small business attendees, and taking the time to make inroads with our department and other state agencies. And finally, I encourage attendees to meet everyone they can and share business cards freely. And please take the time to enjoy the summit. I certainly hope and I'm confident that it'll be worth your time. Have a good day.
All righty. We heard a lot of numbers this morning. We heard $1 billion, we heard 200 million, we heard 20%. We've heard a lot of numbers here today. There's lots of opportunity, and I want to encourage you that we have staff right outside here with Caltrans and with other public agencies that are actually looking for you. They're looking to work with you, they're looking to contract with you. And so I encourage you to take advantage of that after we have our time in here. There'll be plenty of time later this morning and this afternoon to network with folks that have opportunities waiting for you. But right now, what I want to do is bring up someone who's going to help introduce to you a program that can help particularly those newer businesses in the room. Let me hear from them. A round of applause for the newer businesses, under 5 years. Yeah. We have a great treat for you. We have Mr. Bonnie Nyaga, who is with the Director's Office. Director Tavares mentioned him earlier. He is the DBE and Small Business Support Manager, working directly for Director Tavares. And we also have Ms. Abigail Brown, who is CEO and founder of CPM Logistics, who are going to talk about the Caltrans Construction Mentor Protege Program.
Good morning, everybody. All right, so you had your coffee. So I wouldn't say, like Sergio said, it's always hard to follow Secretary Tokso Meshaking, our Director Tony Tavares, and Sergio and David DeLuz. But first of all, let's give it for Abigail Brown from CPM Logistics, who's my co-facilitator. You will hear from her. It's a great honor, ladies and gentlemen, to be here today with all of you. I want to first start by thanking Director Tony Tavares for this opportunity you gave me to serve the people in my capacity in your office to advance what is very important to us here in Caltrans, expanding opportunity to everyone. And recognizing that we needed to expand opportunity for construction contractors, I got this special assignment in the director's office, and it's been a great pleasure to meet all of you as I have been going around the state one-on-one in events like this and having those conversations that make us make the changes that we need to make here at Caltrans, because we are listening and we are committed to the things that we say we're going to do in increasing small business participation. Thank you very much, Tony, for the opportunity. I appreciate that very much. So as you know, Caltrans has a long-standing history of supporting small businesses, disadvantaged business enterprises, disabled veteran business enterprises in our contracting and procurement. This slide is a slide that I have everywhere I go across the state, and it says, message from the director. Tokes, I'm going to take your lead here. You're the king of quotes. I'm a disciple of John Maxwell in leadership, and John Maxwell says everything rises and falls on leadership. And I want to let you know, folks, that Caltrans' commitment to equity, economic prosperity, and our core four foundational principles, safety, equity, climate action, and economic prosperity, is real. These tenets are not abstract concepts, they are the concrete framework that guide our plans and projects. And the message to do the things we do that we need to move in that direction is very clear, right from the secretary to our director, all the way to the staff level, including small people like me. And that's why we're implementing what we do here. So I want to say something here real quick. We have a strategic plan that we developed. I'm not going to get into that. And you will see in that strategic plan, we talk about equity, economic prosperity, and the things we need to do at Caltrans to advance that. But I want to single out the Office of Civil Rights, Mr. David DeLuz and his staff. And I'm going to embarrass you, David. Could you please have your staff stand up? Because I want everybody to know who you are. For 1 minute, the Office of Civil Rights staff, David DeLuz will not blow his own trumpet. They do a lot of important work. As you can see, what the mission of the Office of Civil Rights is dedicated to increasing the participation of small businesses, disadvantaged business enterprises, and disabled veteran enterprises, firms in both federal and state contracting and procurement. And that's exactly what they do, from certification to setting goals and working on things that we need to do in Caltrans so that we can meet those goals. So I thank you very much, Office of Civil Rights, for all you do, and that's great for all of us. So the one thing I want to talk to you about today is the Caltrans Construction Mentor Project Program. Like I said, Caltrans is very dedicated to increasing opportunity for everyone. And we recognize there was a need for a mentorship program for construction contractors specifically. I know there's a lot of architectural and engineering and service contracts folks here today, but I'm going to speak to this program that is purely guided for construction contractors in our community. So the Construction Mentor Project Program's mission is straightforward yet impactful: to increase the participation of small businesses, disadvantaged business enterprises, disabled veteran business enterprises in the procurement and contracting of public works construction projects. Director Tavares just mentioned we have 14 billion or 19 billion. It's billions, ladies and gentlemen. It's a lot of money, and we want to make sure that we include all contractors, large, medium, and small business in those programs, and help us in meeting our mission here at Caltrans. So the Construction Mentor Project Program is here to provide the necessary tools, resources, and guidance in the aim to empower and take full advantages of the opportunities that lie ahead. Your success is our success, and together we will build a stronger and more resilient industry. Here at Caltrans, we firmly believe that a rising tide lifts all boats. This powerful statement embodies the essence of our program, the Construction Mentor Project Program, where collective success translates into individual growth and prosperity. We want to break barriers and limit your potential as construction contractors. And as the saying goes, overcoming barriers to performance is how groups become teams. It is through collaboration, determination, and unwavering support that we break down these barriers and the obstacles that stand in our way. Our goal is not only to break barriers, but to dismantle the very doors that limit your potential. We seek to lay these doors on their side, transforming them into ramps that make it easier for you to ascend and reach new heights. This symbolic act represents our commitment to creating an inclusive environment where everyone has an opportunity to thrive. So the Construction Mentor Project Program aims to increase the number of qualified, capable, small and disadvantaged contractors that can bid on and successfully complete Caltrans projects. Keyword there is qualified and capable. The program follows a hybrid approach where we get very qualified contractors, and I'll talk about the membership here, the constituency, through a hybrid approach of workshops and one-on-one mentoring. These workshops are based on some competencies that we have established, that we have determined small businesses need so that they can successfully bid on and complete Caltrans construction, or just generally public works projects. In the event that we identify that the group mentoring approach, there is a specific need for a small business out there, we do have one-on-one mentoring with some of our mentors. So these workshops are designed to follow the life cycle of a Caltrans construction project, all the way from pre-bid all the way to post-acceptance. And the program culminates in a graduation ceremony that we have across the state. I'm very proud to say that we have rolled out this program across the state in all the 12 Caltrans districts in the last 1 year. We're currently on the second round, and we will have an opportunity to talk about how you can participate. So I'll have Abigail talk about the competencies a little bit.
All right. Thank you, Bonnie. So knowing as we went into the statewide effort that we needed to have ways to measure the success of the program and to identify obstacles that are keeping the small companies from actually confidently moving forward with bidding on Caltrans work, we developed the 4 competencies for the program. And as you can see on this slide, resources and guidance is probably the #1 competency that we focus on, because we know as a small business that you do not have a lot of resources, or you may not know how to more easily assimilate into the Caltrans structure up for bidding on work, and even just finding where the bid packages are. Relationship and connections is also vitally important. We love that we have so many mentors that are eager to jump in and work with every protege that we have, whether it's in the district that they're mentoring or if it's a different district. We have some mentors who only work in District 4 but are helping District 7 proteges right now to understand how to do markups for emergency work because of the fires. So it's really phenomenal just how the honor system that is developed through this program, through the relationships. The technical skills, equally as important as the first 2. Knowing how to go into contractor's corner, find bids that actually match what you provide, where you don't have to fit into or change your scope of work to fit into those bid packages, is something that we focus on quite a bit. So going back to the resources, we want to make sure that as the small proteges are learning how to move forward with Caltrans bids, that they understand where to more easily find where the bids and the opportunities are. There's a lot of different ways that Caltrans puts contracts out, and I know that it can be overwhelming for a lot of smaller companies that maybe, want to learn how to work on Caltrans projects. There's just many, many avenues to get there. And last, the Caltrans fluency, standard specs. There's different parts of how to be fluent with how Caltrans does things. And we focus a lot on teaching the proteges how to fish, rather, so they can go and find their own standard spec or find the potholing spec, which isn't included always on the bid item list and things like that. So, Bonnie?
Thank you, Abigail. So those are the competencies, those are the knowledge gaps we're trying to fill on this to the participants. So let's talk a little bit about our participants. So the Caltrans Construction Mentor Protege Program. That means we have proteges and mentors, and then we have sponsors and champions. So proteges, any small emerging construction firm that has been in business for 1 year, has a set classification of California State Licensing Board construction contractor licenses that are typical to the type of work that we do here in Caltrans, and is eligible or certified as a small business or DBE, DVB. You don't have to be certified. We'll take you to our great people in the Office of Civil Rights to help you with the certification. You're welcome to join the Caltrans Construction Mentor Project Program. I see some of you here. If you could just lift your hand up real quick, Bruce, don't be shy, who've been proteges in the program. And Alexander Santa Maria, thank you. Then we have mentors. Mentors are firms that are generally very established, have performed over and over and successfully completed Caltrans projects over time, and they believe in the good of the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, the question's always asked, why would mentors come and train their competition? But there is more to it than just that. When I've spoken to these mentors, they understand the good of the industry. It is good to have more of us doing this stuff. So I want to recognize our mentors who are here present. Just raise your hand so we can acknowledge you.
The mentors are at the tables.
At the tables. Thank you very much. Some of them are out there. So thank you very much for your contribution to this. We do have our champions from every district. So every district in Caltrans is represented. And we have our co-facilitator, CPM Logistics. And sometimes we bring in subject matter experts to help in some of the questions that we may have regarding the program. Go there.
So if you are a small contractor and you're interested in learning more, please go to the website, the Caltrans website for the Construction Mentor Protege Program. The link is there, the QR code is there. We can easily email anybody here who has questions about the program. The email for the program is there. We all share it. So write it down. If you have any questions at all, even if they don't seem relevant, just ask us and we'll get you the right information. We are always looking for proteges. Many of the proteges that we work with are out doing the work, and so connecting with proteges is something that we every single day incorporate into this program. So apply, ask questions, take advantage of this phenomenal program that Caltrans has put together with a lot of resources with the goal of helping you be successful at the end of the program.
Thank you very much. So we've graduated 166 proteges so far. We have a commitment of 200 by 2026. And a lot of the proteges who've been in this program have gone forth to bid on Caltrans work. Some have won bids, others have not. Others have participated as subcontractors with some of our mentors or others. And that is why we do this work. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Always feel free to reach out to me anytime, day or night. I'm always available to serve. Thank you.
All right, everyone, we have a special treat. It's not every day that you get to sit down with the two top transportation officials in California and hear about where they've been, what they're up to now, and what's next. So today we have an awesome opportunity to hear from both Secretary Tokes Omishakin and Director Tony Tavares together live on stage right here for you. First up, I'd like to introduce CalSTA Secretary Dr. Tokes Omishakin. Dr. Omishakin was appointed as the 4th Secretary of Transportation for the state of California by Governor Gavin Newsom in February of 2022. In this position, he oversees 45,000 people and a more than $30 billion annual budget for 8 state transportation departments, boards, and commissions. Prior to this role, he served as the California Department of Transportation Caltrans Director, where he managed a $17.5 billion budget and more than 22,000 employees that oversee 50,000 lane miles of highways, maintain more than 20,000 bridges, provide permitting of more than 250 public use airports, funding of 3 of Amtrak's busiest intercity rail services, and provides transit support to more than 400 local and regional transportation agencies. In December 2020, he was recognized with the Excellence in Leadership Award by the Conference of Minority Transit Officials, Northern California, and named Person of the Year by the California Transportation Foundation in May of 2021. Secretary Omishakin earned a PhD in engineering management from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, a master's degree in urban and regional planning from Jackson State University, and a Bachelor of Arts degree in engineering technology from Mississippi Valley State University. Let's welcome Dr. Tokes Omishakin. We also have with us today Director Tony Tavares. Director Tavares was appointed the 34th Director of the California Department of Transportation by Governor Gavin Newsom and was sworn in June of 2022. Director Tavares manages a nearly $20 billion budget and also more than 22,000 employees who oversee 50,000 lane miles and maintains approximately 20,000 bridges, providing permitting for more than 400 public use airports, and on and on. He's got a big job, ladies and gentlemen. Director Tavares most recently served as the Director of California District 7, Caltrans District 7, and this region encompasses the expansive Los Angeles and Ventura counties and boasts 25% of California's population. an annual construction program of more than $2 billion, and some of the most innovative solutions to help move people and goods through Southern California, part of the 5th largest economy in the world. Prior to his role in District 7, Director Tavares served as the Bay Area District 4 Caltrans Director, where he was instrumental in implementing the California landmark Senate Bill 1, the Road Repair and Accountability Act. Director Tavares is a graduate of the University of California, Davis, with a Bachelor's of Science degree in Civil Engineering. He's a professional engineer, or PE, and a certified project management professional. Ladies and gentlemen, Director Tony Tavares. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good morning.
So I'm excited to be here today because, again,
He's so excited he don't know what time of the day it is.
I don't know what time of day it is, but I'm excited to talk about what's next. So look, the title of this session is What's Next, but let's start with a quick look back. You both have served as California's transportation leaders, and you both have really impressive resumes and track records. What would you say are your proudest accomplishments to date in your respective roles? And also, what would you say are your biggest challenges? Let's start with Secretary Omashakin.
Thank you, David. I'll try to be concise this morning because you've heard from both of us already, all three of us, and you're hearing from us again. But I know David wants a little bit more of a personal conversation, so you guys, you business owners and future business owners can get a sense of who we are and why we do what we do. But before I respond to that, or as I respond to that, I'll say part of what makes me always feel good and proud is seeing people succeed as well around me. I think as you own a small business, some of you own a business, when you hire somebody or you have a team member that you bring on board and you see them thrive and succeed and help your business succeed, I know for sure that's a good feeling for you, for many of you. And it's the same thing for us in the government space. If you noticed, all the people who came up, they kept referring back to all the people who were speaking, all the different team members. So that's a proud thing to see people like Sergio, for example, who has an immigrant background. He got up here, he's our host today. Somebody like him. Tony, our director, he has an immigrant background. And I'm not singling out immigrants as like, that's the most challenging thing, but it is a challenging part of getting to success sometimes when you're in a different place. But people were shouting you out. I own just a tiny 0.0001% of that success. So that's something that definitely makes me proud. There's somebody here like Tammy McGowan as well, who's our Deputy Secretary for Communications. She's risen up the ranks from the maintenance side to become Deputy Secretary for Communications for CalSTA. But to some specifics beyond the team, beyond the people, some of the things that I think from my role when I was in the director seat and in this role, I'll be honest, I like to break ground. Sometimes it's not fun, but I like when we're doing something that's cutting edge, that's pushing the boundaries, that's pushing the envelope of the norm. It sort of gives me a little bit of excitement to keep pushing. I kept using the word perseverance, and I'm sincere about that. If you take anything away from today, just stick with it. Just stick with it, whatever it is that you're doing. But we've started programs, for example, Reconnecting Communities is an effort that we launched. It's groundbreaking. Reconnecting Communities is about looking at communities in the state that highways gutted and divided, and how we can help bridge back those communities together because we built the highway through there. How we can help reconnect those communities economically, socially, from a health standpoint. So we put $75 million into an effort to look at that across the state of California and funded three communities to launch that initiative. We didn't do it because, a president said, or a secretary at the U.S. No, we were going down this path. This is something that is unique to the United States, that we will put money into something like that. There are other efforts like the TRCP program. It's a transit program, capital funding for transit agencies across the state of California. Since I've been in this role as secretary, we've put more than $5 billion into helping transit agencies fund their capital program. The importance of that is, as we know, a lot of times the communities that need to be able to get to work, to doctor's appointments, et cetera, they very often depend on transit, sometimes more than more affluent communities do. And we're helping to fund, train service, buses, things like that in those communities. And then, of course, again, an effort like this, the one we're all here for today. I can't tell you how proud I am to see something like this succeed. We started this 4 years ago, as it says by the number. There were efforts like this prior to me getting to Caltrans, but we took it to a different level. After I came on board, I said, no, we're going to do a big statewide DBE Summit to bring together businesses, more than almost 700. Is that what you said?
Yep, over 600.
Over 600 people registered to be here. I'm sure not everybody's in the room this morning. Some are probably still on the way. But that makes me proud that we did something like this. And the director shouted out Jay King earlier. I remember having breakfast with Jay King almost 5.5, 6 years ago. And we talked about, he was challenging me in that discussion, the state needs to step up. The state needs to step up and do more to help DBEs and small business. And this is one of the ideas that generated from that conversation with Mr. J. King. So there's a lot to be proud of, a lot to be proud of. And by the way, I mostly focused on Caltrans in my comments. My responsibility, blessed and fortunate, Governor Newsom has put me into this job, but it includes DMV, it includes high-speed rail, it includes CHP, the New Motor Vehicle Board, Office of Traffic Safety, on and on and on. So it's a big agency with 45,000 people. There's no way in the world I'll be able to cover how much that we've done in that many departments in the short period that we have this morning.
What would you say is the biggest challenge you faced in your time here in California?
Look, it's easy to always point to, it's always easy to point to money. That's the easiest scapegoat for us in government, to say, if we had more money, we could do this. It's true. It's true that we could always use more money. This guy next to me has a $20 billion budget. That's more than some entire states in this country have as a budget. So it's all relative when you think about money. But what I would say is the two biggest things are, one, the cultural shift that needs to happen is significant, and the processes that we've established as a state. California is known for its rigid process systems, its laws. So for example, if you're in a room and you're trying to do business, I mentioned how sometimes it feels like you just kept running into hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. That's the nature of California. We make it not the easiest thing to do business or to do whatever it is you want to get done. You want to get a permit to build a house or put a roof on a house or whatever it is you want to do. There are so many steps and processes. So that's a challenge, because there are really good meaning people who want to get things done, but you got to go through a laundry list of things to get there. And then there's the cultural shift. There's some things that I believe are things that are just part of what we as humans should be doing. We have a moral obligation to serve people better, and culturally sometimes it's a little bit of a challenge. So culture and process, I would say, some of the biggest challenges we've run into.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Director Tavares, same question to you. Your biggest accomplishment and your biggest challenge.
So I think the Secretary said a lot of accomplishments, and we're in lockstep with him on what he mentioned here. But I think, let me talk about some of the successes in Caltrans. I think the shift of Caltrans from a car-centric organization to a multimodal transportation agency now, I think is huge. That's a success. I think what you and your team and many others in this room have achieved over the last 3 years, almost $2.5 billion in contracts to disadvantaged business enterprises, that's a success, David, for you. I think deserves an applause. I think also the work expanding outside of just a transportation organization and our team embracing that. I mentioned Clean California in my opening comments. I mentioned the delivery of the broadband middle mile network and so many other areas that we're branching out and leaning in to help people across this country, this state, I should say. It all comes down to the people. And so I'm gonna, if you'll indulge me, may I ask all the Caltrans employees to please stand up? Come on, don't be shy.
Oh, wow.
These are the accomplishments of Caltrans, our people. Comes down to them.
I'm not letting you off the hook. Biggest challenge.
Secretary said, my biggest challenge is cementing that culture shift in what we're doing today. In my 30 plus years of government work, I have never seen an administration align all the state departments and agencies together with the same focus in mind and move forward positively in the same direction. And how do we cement that so that when I'm gone, when Mr. Secretary is gone, when you're gone, David, the momentum is carrying forward in the same direction. So I think that's the biggest challenge, is to continue this culture shift.
Great, thank you. Okay, now let's move on to the what's next portion of our conversation. So both of you mentioned the recent fires in Los Angeles. They're another stark reminder of how climate change, urban development, and infrastructure resilience intersect, right? And it intersects with increasing frequency and severity right here in California. So given these experiences, how do you see Caltrans and CalSTA evolving to respond more effectively to these emergencies and to help prevent them in the future? And I'll start with you, Director Tavares.
Yeah, no, thank you, David. That's a great question. So at Caltrans, we've begun several years ago doing resiliency planning, looking at the system, looking at communities, and how sea level rise, how wildfires, how other disasters impact our state, across the state. We were very focused when it comes to wildfires initially on rural and mountainous communities, because that's what we had seen from experience, the tragic Paradise Fire and other communities that were in the foothills and mountainous communities. But now seeing the LA fires and experiencing that, we're realizing that wildfire impacts not only rural, mountainous, and urban, but metropolitan areas. And we have to plan accordingly for that and work with our local communities, work with local agencies together. And again, as I mentioned, Governor Newsom bringing all state departments with the same focus. He has brought all of us together. We have overlapping duties in some cases, like the Department of Conservation and under the Natural Resources Agency does some surveying work similar to what Caltrans is doing. So bringing our organizations together to collaborate better, to deliver better for the people, more efficiently, effectively, that is so critical going forward.
Mr. Secretary?
I think the director said it well. I think Bonnie was whispering to me when the director mentioned that. I think you said there were 4 contracts or 5 that have now been given to small businesses to help with the LA fire response. Bonnie was telling me that that number actually is heading just a little bit north of that now. So kudos to you and the department for having that mindset and approach of like making sure that small businesses get the opportunity to help respond to the disaster in Los Angeles. But just thinking beyond contracting opportunity, he mentioned the vulnerability assessments that have been done, not just on fire, but sea level rise and other extreme weather events that we see. And they're being updated. Those plans are being updated by the department. So we're going to be more aware of where we face potential exposure or risk as it relates to the climate challenge or extreme weather events across the state. So that awareness is happening for the future. But, part of what I'm hoping that we can also do is just think about the impacts on communities even more. So when it comes to, for example, our right-of-way, we probably own more right-of-way in the state of California, more land, than anybody. The state parks service probably is, right up there next to us. But there's a big conversation nationally about forest management. I'm not sure if anybody's heard that term in the room. Anybody heard that term? Like, yeah, okay, we've heard that term. Like, we don't take care of our land enough because grass and things grow wild and they serve as fuel to start fires extend fires into the future. So our roadways through communities, and this is something that I know the director is paying attention to, our roads through communities, whether rural, urban, suburban, we need to be thinking about things like that more and more and being active with the maintenance teams, like Sergio's team and other folks' team, to manage those places so that we're being proactive with the potential risk. The things like, building a bridge higher, moving, roadway more inland, all those things are really, really expensive. Those are long-term, those vulnerability assessments that we've done, those are multi-billion-dollar efforts. But forest management, things like that, working with CNRA or the Natural Resource Agency, those are things that we can readily do that are just basic maintenance activities. So keeping that in mind for the future. But the last thing I'll say on this point is, some of you may notice in this room that transportation is the biggest challenge as it relates to the climate challenge that we face in the state. Transportation is the biggest reason why. 50% of the greenhouse gas emissions that are leading to a lot of the bad things that we're seeing in the environment, 50% of it comes from the fact that we emit so much from our vehicles. It's half of the challenge. So the more that we are able to get people to walk, bike, use transit, bus, rail, use a zero-emission vehicle or a hybrid vehicle, the more we're able to do that, the more that we reduce those emissions and potentially reduce those impacts. So we have to keep that in mind for the future. That's a big part of the Caltrans responsibility in this. It's not just moving the infrastructure around or cutting a bunch of grass. We need to change how mobility happens in California for goods and for people. That's a big part of the responsibility that we have for the future and the president as well.
Thank you. So the next question is, I'm trying to figure out how to frame this. I've been trying to figure out how to frame this, but it's probably, I'll just ask it. So there's a growing concern about the direction of our disadvantaged business enterprise program, at least for the next foreseeable future on the federal level especially. How is California and Caltrans and CalSTA, how are we preparing for any potential changes? I'll start with the Secretary.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, and we're done. So I know David was trying to be sensitive in the way he asked this question. I think you understand the question he's asking. They're changing political winds, if you will, at the federal level, and there may be some people who are not as on board that are leading things, not as on board necessarily with an outlook towards what Governor Newsom calls a California for all. Like, this is, everybody in this state should have an opportunity for success. One of you mentioned not handouts, not handouts, but an opportunity. So you earn this, an opportunity for success. And that's where I think people mix up the term equity. They think it's, oh, we're just giving people stuff. No gift here. You have to earn this. These are merit-based, but it's about giving people, a woman, a minority, whatever it may be, a small business owner, giving you an opportunity, an entry into the door to be able to compete to win work. That's what it's about. So, two things I'll say. Number one, to make changes to this program, formal changes, it's going to require either not just the executive, but it's going to require input from the legislative branch of the federal government, and even potentially the judicial branch of the government, but for sure the legislative branch of the government. Correct. So this program, by the way, the DBE program, for those of you who may not be aware, there's a guy named Ronald Reagan that you may have heard of before, who is from California and was the president of the United States, and he was of the conservative background. He was the first president to actually put this into law, to help formalize this and get it signed off by Congress. So despite some of the things that you're hearing, this has a very conservative leaning, if you will. I'm not going to get into the details of this, but it has a very conservative leaning. That's the history and background of where this program came from. Not to say that other presidents didn't do it prior, but that's where it started. Formally started, I should say, on paper. So, number one, it's going to take a legislative change and a judicial change, possibly, if it goes to the judicial side of things, to remove a lot of this DBE program that you see today. So keep that in mind. Number two, I would say that the values, the principles that you see that support the DBE program are values that we should all just stand for. And we will keep doing regardless of what happens where the political winds are blowing. I think we should just do that. The small business program, for example, the state program requires that 25%. So this is beyond the federal program. There's a law, if you're not familiar with it, AB 2019. Write that down. AB 2019. If you're not familiar with it, you need to look it up. It requires the state, not just Caltrans, to seek opportunities for 25% of all contracting to go to small businesses, a quarter of all businesses. So regardless of what happens at the federal level, there's still a state law that says we need to do this on the state side. So regardless of what happens federally, I think these are values that we as the people of the state should stand for, to help a small business. That's not a purple, red, or blue thing whatsoever. So let's just keep that in mind.
Director Tavares.
The secretary said it very well. Look, the core four that he showed in his presentation, that is fully align with what Governor Newsom's California for All is. Those are our values in California that we stand for going forward. And the DBE program, it's still the law today. My job is to implement the laws. And so we will continue the DBE program until the law changes. And that will require, as the Secretary mentioned, not just executive ruling, legislative, and most likely judicial as well. That will take part in that as well. But we're committed to small businesses regardless. That is our value here in California, to lift up small businesses. And as I mentioned in my slide presentation, Caltrans is doing 36% of our contracts to small businesses across the state. And we will continue to do that, if not more, if we can. And that's the reason for this whole summit today. Having you here, connecting you with our folks who can help you get certified if you're not already certified. That's an important first step in being able to do business with any government agency in California. Not just Caltrans, not just any state agency, but cities and counties as well. You have to be certified. They look to the California standards in order to contract with you. So that's a huge step. Once you become certified with one department, you're certified across everything. The other, if you can become a DBE as well, be certified there, that just increases your opportunity of doing more business with California. Our contracts, our construction contracts require about 22% of subcontracting to disadvantaged business enterprises right now. And so having that certification helps you move, if you will, to the top of a line that prime contractors can reach out to and hopefully bring you in on their contract as a subcontractor. So many opportunities, and we want to teach you these things here today. We want to show you how you get certified. We want to help you get connected with other contractors. You heard Bonnie and Abigail with the Mentor Protege program. We want to help you connect with those primes as well so that you too have that pathway and can take that journey to prosperity.
Director Tavares, you were just encouraging our small businesses here to get certified. What other advice do you have for these firms, the folks here, about positioning themselves to compete for Caltrans projects? What else should they be looking to do?
So there's a lot of services, David, you and your team offer to small businesses, supportive services that we have available to all of you to help you along the way. We have partnerships too that we can connect you with as well to increase your opportunity. That networking is so important, getting to know who and how to enter the contracting arena, if you will, in state government. It can be daunting. Abigail mentioned that. There's a lot of requirements, a lot of paperwork, and I know I saw David Prismich, who's our Division of Procurement and Contracts chief here, there he is. He can tell you also, it can be extremely daunting to do a contract with the state of California. And you have to have prevailing wage, and you have to have labor compliance and all of these other components that go with that as well. Bonding and insurance, thank you, Secretary. That's another area we, David and his team, are trying to connect you with opportunities for bonding and insurance and providing upfront capital as well for smaller businesses and micro businesses that may not have the ability to bond. That's a requirement, but we're trying to bridge that gap for you right now. So David, your team has a tremendous amount of services, and I thank you for continuing to increase that service to these small businesses.
Thank you, and we will be talking a little bit about, hosting a DBE Q&A a little bit later on today, so that's good. Mr. Secretary, or Dr. Secretary, do you have any advice for the folks assembled here today?
Look, I would say, I'd echo what the director said, but I would say some just really basic things to just keep in mind, just like with anything else. Just like you have a job, working for the state, or you have a job working for a private company, is to do quality work, to keep that in mind, how important that is. not just for your business, for example, but even for future businesses that are trying to come after you, who are trying to grow also. Just keep it in mind that if you slip up and let's say you do not so much of a good job, you do a poor job doing a contract for the county or the city or the state, and we have to, claim some money back, and we have to find another contractor to redo that work. That's costing money to do that, but that's also a reputation that you've created. And it becomes harder to get work, not only just for yourself, but for other small businesses and companies in the future. It's like, I need somebody who I can trust, who's not going to mess this opportunity up for me with the state or with the county or with the city. So keep in mind, I know it's pretty basic and pretty simple, but keep in mind the importance of doing diligent, quality work. Like going all out as a small business to say, I'm gonna do everything I can to get this absolutely right, because I'm establishing a reputation here, no matter what it is, how small the contract is, 10,000, 50,000, $500,000, $1 million. Do it to the best you can, and that increases opportunities down the line for you and for others to continue to get work. So that's just I know it's a basic nugget that we learn as kids when you turn that homework in, to not just do a shabby job, but that goes all the way through to this point now in life as well as you're doing work for the government.
Final word. Thank you very much. Secretary Omashakin, Director Tavares, thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause, everyone.
Good job, man. Good job.
Great job. All right. So now our agenda tells us that we are moving on to a fireside chat with a business owner. And so if we can, I'd like to have Ms. Abigail Brown, founder and CEO of CPM Logistics, to come on up and we'll have our fireside chat. Let's give her a round of applause, everyone.
Thank you.
Excuse me. So many papers. Good morning, Abigail. How are you? Ooh, yeah, you gotta turn. There you go. I think it's on now.
Good morning.
There you go. All right. So, we are so glad that you could join us here today. We wanted to talk to you because we wanted to talk about DBE's experience working with Caltrans, going through the process of getting certified, finding work, and finding some success. And I think, the work that you've done, you've been working with Caltrans for a number of years, and now you're working hand in glove with Bonnie on our Mentor Protege program. And from all reports, it's been a dynamite success all throughout the state of California. And so we're really thankful and fortunate to have you here today. So can you tell us a little bit about your story of how you came to establish CPM Logistics and what inspired you to start the business?
So I've been in business since 2013. And prior to starting the company, I used to run construction projects. Not a lot of people know that. I worked for a very large contractor design firm, and really, I started the company once I had kids. It was something where I just couldn't be on a job site 12 hours a day with 2 small children, and I wanted the flexibility to be able to pick them up from school sometimes, go to their events. I kind of fell into all of this, because once I started the company, I thought I only have to make enough to pay for pre-K for my kids. And getting DBE certified was there were a lot of things that I wanted to figure out about the process and the program. And the more I dug into it, and the more I tried to figure out the relationship between the prime contractors and the small contractors, the more I realized that there was a big, let me say this the right way, there was a need to try to help elevate everybody together. You know, in the old days, I'm not sure, a lot of people here probably remember this, there was sort of an adversarial relationship a lot of the time between a lot of the mentors and the proteges from before, where, you know, they were just struggling to figure out how to develop really good trusted relationships with each other. So that's why I started my company, was so that I could spend more time with my kids. And it's just evolved into something where we really legitimately and genuinely want to solve problems.
What have been some of the biggest challenges you faced as a certified DBE?
I would say paperwork is probably hands down one of the biggest challenges that we face, because every single agency has different paperwork requirements. You know, having someone who understands how to fill out all the forms or submit any kind of the pursuit documents or all the DBE forms that the DBE certified companies have to complete is probably the biggest challenge.
Do you have any stories you can tell about some of those challenges and how you overcame them?
The second contract I ever submitted a bid on for outreach, I forgot to include any of the any taxes on the dollars that I would make. And so I had to, I submitted it, they accepted it, it was not a Caltrans project. And so we basically just had to operate at cost through that. And so that never happened again.
I bet it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When did you know you were going to make it as a business?
I don't know if any of us know that we're going to make it. We always feel like we're still making it. There's not. It seems glamorous. It's not as glamorous as it seems on the outside for this. I think the companies that start to rest on their laurels are the ones that tend to end up struggling the most later on.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a question, and I need you to be 100% honest, okay? Not just because we're hosting you here today, but tell me about your experience working with Caltrans compared with other agencies. Better, worse?
What I like about Caltrans is everything is the same. Once you figure it out, and once you know what to expect, even submitting pay apps, it's so consistent that, you know, it's a lot easier in many ways than even working directly for prime contractors. You know, sometimes, you know, we're a sub-consultant to many of the prime contractors on a lot of the alternative delivery projects. And sometimes we don't get paid for 3 months, sometimes we get paid right away. Caltrans is so consistent with everything that they do and all the rules that it makes it really easy to understand and get past that learning curve.
Share with me one piece of really good advice that you would have for small or potentially DBE firms that might want to work on projects with Caltrans.
I would say ask questions. Ask as many questions as you need to ask. If you're not getting the answers to your questions, ask other people. Just keep asking, because at some point you're going to learn what it is that you need to know. And what I have found truly with Caltrans and with a lot of the other agencies is they're so willing and they're rooting for you to succeed that if they're not paying attention to you yet, you find that person who will pay attention to you and get you the knowledge and the responses that you need.
So what would you say has been critical for you to be able to break through and be able to have some consistent opportunities with Caltrans? What's the secret sauce?
I think persistence. You fail a lot. It's not, you don't usually get it on the first try or the second or the 20th. You just keep going until you figure stuff out. We have a lot of sweat equity into figuring out, how does Caltrans work? How does state agencies work? I've volunteered a lot with UConn and AGC. That the secret sauce is the relationships, as everyone in this room probably knows. Once people get used to you, once you know the strengths and weaknesses of these relationships you have with people, it makes it a lot easier, because doing it alone is almost impossible, truly. And what Toke said about being a quality company, keeping your word, I was nodding along when I'm listening to that, because keeping your word is vital to be developing those trusted relationships with people.
Any final comments? Any last little bit of advice you might have for folks who are sitting here who've never had a contract with Caltrans and want to do work but are trying to figure out, where do I start? How do I do this?
We tell people a lot to connect with either the DSBLs, connect with OCR, connect with the primes.
Office of Civil Rights.
That's right, with Office of Civil Rights. And my piece of advice is try to get as many opportunities as you can in the most efficient way. So schedule forecasting meetings. AGC and UConn, just at the very entry-level part of everything, have their monthly liaison or quarterly liaison meetings where they give you all the opportunities. If you can get a spreadsheet that has like 20 bid opportunities on it from either a prime contractor, from Caltrans, from a membership organization, that will make your life so much easier. And take advantage of the resources, the Mentor Protege, Cal Mentor. A lot of the public works projects that we're seeing come out now have an additional mentoring requirement to it. Take advantage, Mentor Protege requirement. Take advantage of all of that stuff. It will pay off.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Abigail Brown, CPM Logistics. Hello? Okay, there we go. Abigail is awesome, everyone. I lost my place. Come on, where are we at? Excuse me 1 second. Everyone, this is Marjani Rollins, our office chief for workforce, and she is my right-hand person, and she has some great stuff to share with you today about some of the work that we're doing in workforce training. So with that, I'll turn it over to Marjani. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Thank you, David. Good morning. I'll make this quick. I know you guys are anxious to get back out there to our exhibitor tables. My name is Marjani Rollins, and I am the office chief over the Small Business and Workforce Development Center. I have been with Caltrans going on 19 years now, so I pretty much grew up within the agency, and I found myself in the Office of Civil Rights almost 5 years ago, where David gave me the opportunity to expand the supportive services programs. And Director Tavares mentioned that earlier today about the supportive services that we provide here at Caltrans Office of Civil Rights. So the Small Business and Workforce Development Center is composed of 2 branches. Oh, my clicker stopped working. It's all right. Well, there we go. So we're composed of 2 different branches, the small business development side and the workforce development side. We are responsible for overseeing and administering several federal programs. That includes the on-the-job training program, the on-the-job training supportive services, the National Summer Transportation Institute, and the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Supportive Services. Yeah, I know that's a mouthful, so I'll use acronyms going forward. Now, many of you may have heard of our Heavy Equipment Operator Academy, which is funded through our OJT Supportive Services program. And also, we piloted that back in 2023 in Sacramento. And due to the program's success, we were able to expand it statewide. And we've had our first Heavy Equipment Operator Academy this year in January. And it's actually happening right now in San Bernardino, California. And that's with the support of our leadership, Federal Highway, the district, Caltrans statewide, small businesses like yourselves, and other organizations that help us put on these programs. Including the class that's graduating this February 28th, we've attained a 98% graduation rate. So what that means is only one person did not graduate out of 60. So we provide the supportive services to make sure that the participants are able to complete the program. And that includes housing. We have housed 2 individuals while they were in our program for the entire 5 to 7 weeks while they were there. We offer stipends and other great resources while the people are going through the program. In the Equipment Operator Academy, the participants receive several certifications, including the Level 1 Heavy Equipment Operator certification, the MC3 certification, which is recognized by the union trades, and a host of other certifications that you can learn more about later on today if you are able to stay this afternoon. Also, we've attained 60% of our participants have attained jobs within 6 months of graduation. Our next session will be in the summer of this year in Humboldt County. We'll have 9 sessions over the next 3 years, and we'll be rolling through California. So stay informed about what's going on, because this does benefit you as a small business. You do qualify to apply for these programs, and they are free of charge. I do want to let you know that it could save you a lot of money. You know, our Equipment Operator Academy, it could cost upwards to $40,000 per person. This is free for you and for your employees, so please, I encourage you to apply. With that said, we have expanded to welding and commercial driver's license. That will be coming up in the fall of 2025. And again, that is available to you as small business owners and your employees. We also don't want to forget about the youth. We have the National Summer Transportation Institute, where we partner with the schools here, the colleges. And this year, we're partnered with CSULA and Cal Poly Pomona for this summer. And now I'm going to switch over to the business development side of the house, where this office was established in 2023, and we offer one-on-one inquiry assistance to all small businesses, DBEs and DVBE firms. We work in collaboration with the district small business liaisons, the small business development centers, and all the other organizations to bring resources to you and help you navigate the procedures, the policies, or whatever questions that you might have. We also have a dedicated business development program specialist for you. We have one for each region, Northern, Central, and Southern. We offer tailored bid matching assistance, which we send through via our text messaging system and email. So when we send you the bid matching, we're not just sending you projects that are in your area, we're sending it based off of your NAICS code. And I mentioned that mass notification service. We utilize that to notify you about events, upcoming projects, resources, policy change, and it's not just Caltrans resources, it's other agencies, other organizations to help you stay afloat and to build your business capacity. And so what's coming soon is our DBE Supportive Services Business Development Program. Now in the past, you all may have heard of this program. It's a federal program. In the past, Caltrans consulted this work out 100%. After doing some analyses and getting some feedback from our participants and from the businesses that we were serving, we learned that it was time for Caltrans to step forward and be the face of the program. And that's why we now have the Small Business Development Branch here to serve you and to help you navigate all processes, whether it's from certification, expanding your NAICS codes, having a business plan, your capability statement, bid support. We're here to help you. So what I would like to invite you to do later this afternoon, we do have a workshop at 2 p.m. I'm sure you all have busy days, but if you are able to join us, you'll be able to gain insight to our workforce development initiatives, take advantage of our small business development program, and connect with our program specialists. If you are not able to make it this afternoon, I encourage you to bring out your phones right now, scan the QR code, and opt into our text messaging service, where we will send you alerts based off of events, upcoming projects, policy changes, certification, you name it, resources, quick tips. We will provide you anything that you need if you contact us and opt into that texting service. Also, we have a shared inbox. Don't have it on the screen, but if you visit our exhibitor table outside, we're right underneath the big panel of TVs. We have information there for you as well, where you can email us directly and you will be responded to within 24 hours. That is something that we are committed to. You won't get left hanging in our inbox. And with that said, I'd like to thank you for your time and for joining me today, and I look forward to meeting you all, and have a good one.
Let's get up for Marjani Rollins. Marjani and her staff have really taken a program that literally was laying down flat, horizontal, dead, and has really resurrected it and really made it, I think, one of the best supportive services programs in the nation. And she's doing a really good job. And Marjani, just thank you to you and your staff for the work that you're doing. Thank you. So with that, I want to thank everyone for this portion of the program. We can go right outside to the exhibitor tables. We're going to have workshops for the rest of the day. I do want to encourage you all. We have representation from all of our districts. Our district small business liaisons are tabling outside. They are available to answer any questions that you have about district level contracts that are available, opportunities, how you get connected. You definitely need to make sure that you get information from the small business liaisons. They are critical bridges between opportunities and yourself. So please work with our district small business liaisons. I want to thank you all for being here. We are going to have a DBE Q&A in a little bit right here in this room. If anyone has any questions, we'll be able to answer your questions there. But other than that, have at it. Thank you.